Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about linear inequation. This is a similar thing to linear equations that you learned last term. The difference is that now we're going to, instead of equality, have inequality. Basically, this means we're going to have less than, greater than, less or equal than, or greater or equal than situation instead of the equal itself. Now, this is nothing new for you. You already learned it in primary school. We had it last week when we talked about the sets and the intervals, so this itself isn't new, but we had to talk about the intervals to be able to write down the solutions of the equations in the end. And this is going to be the biggest difference between linear equation and linear inequation. So let's start with the simple example to see what's going to go on, to see what we will have to do in the future and how to solve linear inequations. So let's start with example 1. So let's have a situation like 2x minus 3 is greater or equal than 7. This here is the example of one linear inequation. Why is it linear? It looks like it's a linear equation, so let's simplify it like that. It also should look like the left side should look like linear function, and the right side is a specific number in this case. So this is why this is linear inequation. And also one more thing is that we don't know the x itself. Now usually we use the letter x for the unknown. We can also use y or any other letter of the alphabet, whichever you like. So how do we solve this here? Well, simple enough. We are going to first leave what is known on the one side, what is unknown on the other side. Let's have in this situation 2x on the left side, so we're going to leave it here, while we have to add 3 to the whole inequation. Now here is where starts the importance of adding to both sides something, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, and we're going to have situations where we're going to have to specifically what's going on. While in this case we just add 3 to both sides, so basically what happens on the left side, we lose the minus 3, or minus 3 and plus 3 cancel each other out, and on the right side 7 plus 3 equals to 10. Okay, one last step, we have to divide with 2 to get that x is greater or equal to 5. Okay, so one specific thing about this. This is not the solution itself. Sometimes, specifically for state exams, you can write this down as the solution, but in mathematics we want to finish the task itself, because when you look at this here situation, this here is still in equation, still inequality, because only thing that we know is that the unknown is greater or equal to 5. We want to put this into a set, so we want to know for which x's this inequation is going to work. So the thing that you can always do is you can use the number line, and this is what I would suggest you doing each time, no matter how simple things look like. Now, since we're gonna do it as a sketch, this is not going to be precise thing. You can only put the value that you actually need in this case, and this is number 5. So let's put number 5 here. And what do we know about the unknowns in this case? Well, these unknowns are all greater or equal to 5, so they are all to the right of the number 5. Okay, or to the number. Yeah, and well, one last thing is we have equality inside of this equation, and this means that 5 is going to also, so x can be equal to 5 in this case, so we put the bracket corresponding to the inequality. Okay, so let's write this set down, or interval in this case. So x is going to be element of from 5 to plus infinity, 5 included. Okay, so that's why we needed to learn the intervals themselves. Okay, so this was simple enough situation. Now the tasks going forward are going to be on the page 165 in your textbook, but watch out, this is going to be in your textbook part 1. So there are these tasks, and I'm going to start with the task 1, 3. specifically. So 1, 3. And I'm going to show you today a couple of tasks and how to solve them. There is no homework this week because of the specific situation that we are in. But if you have some free time, I urge you to try the similar tasks from these to try for yourself and see how it's gonna how things are going to revolve around that. So let's write down the task 1, 3. 1, 3 is 2 over 3 times x minus 1 is greater than 3 over 4. So this is the given inequation. Now, there are a couple of ways you can solve it. You can multiply everything with the common numerator, for example, which would be 12 in this case. I'm not going to do it in this example, so you know that we don't have to use it always. What I'm going to do here is similar to the example, is I'm going to leave what is unknown on one side. Everything that is known, I'm going to write on the other side. So how to do it? Well, minus 1 is something that we know on the left side. I'm going to add 1 to both of these sides to get 2 over 3x left, and on the right side is going to be 3 over 4 plus 1. I didn't add them up immediately. You can all of course do it yourself. Basically what you should know when you're adding two fractions, basically 1 is also a fraction, you can rewrite it as 4 over 4, so I don't have to rewrite it down in the next row. And I can now add them up. So 2 over 3x is greater than 3 plus 4 is 7 over 4. Okay, so this is now we are almost at the end. The last thing that we have to do is multiply with 3 over 2, because the idea is to have the x alone on one side. So what we are going to be left with is x is greater than 21 over 8. Okay, so now we are almost done. Again, for the state exams, sometimes you can write this down, but if we want to be mathematically correct, we always want to write down x as a part of the interval or a set. So number line, the only number that we have to look here is 21 over 8. All these numbers, or the unknowns, or the x's, however we want to call them, are greater. So this means that they are on the right side. So all numbers that are right to the 21 over 8 are greater than. Now, one last thing is we don't have equality inside of this. So 21 over 8 doesn't go, won't be part of the resulting interval. So we put the according bracket. So in the end, x is element of 21 over 8 not included to plus infinity. Okay, so this is task 1, 3. Let's try it out also on task 1, 4. Now, in this here case, we are going to have an equation minus 3x minus 2 over 3 is less or equal to 1. Okay. So similar to the subtask 3, I'm not going to multiply everything with 3 in this case, even though it would be probably easier for some of you. You can always do it. You can try it yourself. It doesn't matter. The method is every method is okay as long as it leads to the right result. So what I'm going to do here, similar to the last task, unknowns on one side, knowns to the other side. So what I have to do at the beginning is add 2 over 3 to the both sides. So on the left side, we're going to be left with minus 3x. Minus 2 over 3 plus 2 over 3 are going to cancel each other out. So this is the left side. The right side is going to be 1 plus 2 over 3. Similar to the task before, we can rewrite 1 as 3 over 3. Okay, so we can add them up. Now, I'm not going to divide with minus 3 yet. I want to first solve the right side. So minus 3x, or calculate, whatever you want to call it, is going to be 5 over 3. And now is the time to multiply everything with minus 3. Divide. Now, when we're dividing things with a negative number or multiplying things with a negative number, we have to watch out that the inequality itself is going to change because of multiplication. Now, this is not the case with the addition or subtraction. I didn't have the situation where we subtract. We're going to see that in the future, but only when you multiply or divide, like in this case, with a negative number. In that case, the inequality will change, and it will change in a way it will become its opposite in inequality. So what we're going to have is x is greater or equal to -5/9 in this case. So this is what happened. The inequality reversed or changed in this here way. Now, why is this so? Now let's look at a simple explanation, as simple as it can get. So let's look at two numbers. Let's look at, for example, number -5 and 7. Okay, so it should be given that the relation that they are in is -5 is less than 7. It should be obvious for everyone. Now, if I would multiply this, for example, with -1, just -1, you can multiply with -2 or any negative number that you want, doesn't matter. So what will happen is -5 multiplied with -1 is going to become 5, while the 7 is going to become -7. Now, if I don't look at the inequality itself, I want to see the relation between 5 and -7 themselves, okay? I just want to look at these two numbers. So what should be obvious in this case is that 5 is greater than -7. Now, if I apply, I multiplied with a negative number, these two numbers, they were in a relation like this, so result is going to be in a relation opposite. So minus will change the inequality in a way like this. And one last thing is, so the equal part stays in both situations. So if you have equals still. Okay, now I can go back to this task. We didn't finish it yet. We want to write it down as interval, or x as our element of an interval. So let's draw the number line. Let's put the -5/9, on that line. And all these numbers, this is now something that is random, again, are greater or equal. So greater means on the right side, equal means that -5/9 is going to be the part of the resulting interval, and x is then element from -5/9 included to plus infinity. Okay, so these are now some simple tasks that you can try for yourself. I encourage you to try some other tasks from the subtasks from the task 1 to see what's going to happen and how to practice solving or exercise it. Okay, let's continue on to the task 3.1. Let's try something like this. So in equation this time it's going to be a little longer. So -1 minus 2x plus 1/3 is going to be less than x/2 minus x minus 3/6. Okay, so this is the inequation this time. Now, okay, again, I can use the same method like in the last two tasks, and that is that I solve it in a way that I don't multiply with the common numerator. I'm going to leave that to you. In this case, I'm going to try this method where I'm going to first multiply everything with a common numerator, and the common numerator should be 6. We have 3, 2, and 6, so common numerator is 6, so multiplying everything with 6 means that we're going to get 6 minus, well, 3 and 6, okay, we'll leave 2 times 2x plus 1. It's going to be less. 6 divided by 2 is 3x, minus 6 divided by 6 is x, leaves x minus 3. Okay, so we have now this. Now, basically what we got now are the brackets. So before going with the method known on one side, unknown on the other side, let's get rid of the brackets, or let's multiply everything with everything and see what's going to happen. So 6 minus 4x minus 2 is less than 3x minus x plus 3. Now watch out, guys, and this is something I have to tell you specifically. Watch out for the minuses before the bracket. Don't forget to apply the minus to everything inside of the bracket. This is the common mistake that most of you, and I included in that, sometimes do, so watch out for that. Practice makes perfect in this case, so try it as much as possible. Now, before I continue, before I go into the method known, unknown on the sides, I can calculate things on each side to, let's say, simplify it. So what are we going to have here? 6 and minus 2 can be subtracted. So 6 minus 2 is 4, minus 4x is less than, on the right side we have 3x minus x, which leaves us with 2x and plus 3. Okay, now in this here case, let's say I'm going to, I see that we on the right side have the positive x's, while on the left side we have negative x's. Now, to make things simpler for me in this case, I will decide, or I have decided in this case, to have minus 4x and get it on the right side. How to get it? Well, I have to add 4x to everything. And you can do it. You can add 4x. While on the right side, so basically I picked the right side for the unknowns. 3 is something that we know, so minus 3 to get it on the left side. Okay, this means that 4 minus 3 is going to be 1, less than 2x plus 4x is 6x. Okay, so last thing is I have to divide with 6, and 1 over 6 is less than x. Now, why did I pick this method that I picked? Is because I wanted to show you that you can get the unknown on the right side, and it doesn't matter. This is the normal inequation. We can still solve it. We can still write the solution down normally. So don't freak out about that. So unknown can be on the right side without any issues. So let's go with the number line. The number that we need is 1 over 6, and the unknowns, or the x's, are all greater than 1 over 6. So they are again on the right side, and 1 over 6 is not going to be included in the interval. So its according bracket is this. So x is element 1 over 6 not included to plus infinity. And we have solved this easily. Now, what you could have done before, you could have used the common numerator to subtract both left and the right side separately, and then multiply or do whatever you want to do to get to the, hopefully same result. Okay, let's go on. Let's go on with one more task similar to this. Let's go on with the task 4, or subtask 4 from task 3. In this here case, we have equation 2x minus 3 over 3 is less or equal to 3x plus 1 over 4, I apologize, minus x plus 3 over 6. Now, when do I use the method of multiplying with common numerator? Whenever I have more than 2 fractions, to make it simpler for me. So in this here case, I'm going to multiply everything with 12. I'm going to multiply everything with 12 because 3, 4, and 6 divide the 12, and we're going to get the result hopefully this way too. So 2 times 12 is 24 x altogether, minus 12 divided by 3 is 4 times 2x minus 3, less or equal to 12 divided by 4 is 3 times 3x plus 1. And in the end, we have 12 divided by 6, which is going to leave 2 times x plus 3. Okay. Now, again, let's get rid of the brackets with multiplying everything. So 24x minus 8x plus 12 is less or equal to 9x plus 3 minus 2x and minus 6. Watch out for the minus before the bracket and how what does it do to the numbers inside of the bracket. Okay, let's simplify a little bit things on the left and on the right things respectively. So 24x minus 8x is going to leave 16x plus 12 less or equal to 9x minus 2x is going to give you 7x, and minus 3 is going to be a result of 3 minus 6. Okay, so now in this here case, let's put unknowns on the left side. So how to do it? Let's subtract with minus 7x and subtract with 12, which means that we're going to be left with altogether 9x's, and it's going to be less than or equal to minus 15. So minus 3 minus 12 is going to be minus 15. Okay, the last step is to divide everything with 9. So x is going to be less or equal to minus 15 over 9. Of course, this is not the end. You have to simplify the fraction as much as possible. So both of these numbers in the fraction are divisible by 3. So let's divide them with 3. So we're going to be left with 5 over 3 and minus ahead of it. So x is less or equal to minus 5 over 3. Okay, first time that the unknown is going to be less than a number. So number line minus 5 over 3. The number itself, the x's themselves are less than this number, so which means that they are on the left side from it. But we have equality in all of this, so we are going to include the minus 5 over 3 into the result. So x is going to be element of minus infinity to minus 5 over 3 included. There you go, guys. So I hope this is simple enough for you. You can try it out for yourself. I did miss some steps. I didn't write everything down. You don't have to go through all basic steps. You can of course, for example, I didn't write this actually down in the following row. You can write it down to be certain what's going on. But hopefully you can understand what I've done in all of this. And the last task that I want to show you before I leave you with today's lesson is task 9. We are still on the same page. We're still in the textbook. And why do I want to show you this task? In this task, you're given equation. We're given equation basically. So equation itself is m times x plus 3x is equal to 5. And you have to find the m. So in this case, m is the unknown, basically. So that this equation has all positive results. What does this mean? It means that x has to be greater than 0. So numbers that are greater than 0 are all positive numbers. Why is 0 not included in all of this? Because 0 is neither positive, neither negative. So this is why we're not including the 0 in all of this. Now, what this task means is, and why is this an equation? It's not an equation because of this x is greater than 0. It just tells you x's are greater than 0. So x's are not unknown for us, while we have to find m. So let's write down m is unknown. Now, how to solve this task? Basically, we have to find out what is x from this equation using the m. So I'm going to try it. Now, first step that I can do, and what you should also see, is x is in both of these numbers, so you can extract it. So x is going to be times m plus 3, and it is equal to 5. I want to see what is the x. So if I want to see what is the x, I have to divide everything with m plus 3 in this case. So x is going to be equal to 5 over m plus 3. Now, why did I need this? Because in the task itself, that this says that x is greater than 0, which means that this here fraction is greater than 0. Okay? So call this fraction is greater than 0. Now, when you look at it only like this, without the x, you see that this should be an equation where m is unknown. Now, one last thing in all of this is how to solve it. We have to find the m. Now, unlike the tasks before, in this here task, there is the unknown appears in the numerator. Okay, it appears in the numerator, which means this is a new situation. More about this situation is going to be in the next lesson, but this is the introduction basically to the next lesson. And we can solve this task logically, at least one part of it. And what you have here, basically, here you have two numbers that are they're dividing with one another. So 5 is dividing with m plus 3, and the result has to be greater than 0. Now, generally, when you talk about it something like this, so this means that a over b, these are two general numbers, and division between them, and they have to be greater than 0. Now, in our case, 5. Okay, let's forget about 5 at the moment. Let's concentrate at a over b is greater than 0. Now, there are a couple of situations which you can look at. If you divide two numbers, when is their result going to be positive? Two situations are going to appear. Either when both of them are positive. So if you divide positive number with another positive number, the result is going to be a positive number. So this means that a is greater than 0 and b is greater than 0. Okay. While the second situation is, well, both of them, if they are negative, the result is going to be positive again, or quotient is going to be positive again, because negative divided by a negative number is a positive number. So both of them are negative. Now, I have forgotten to write something down, and it's most important part of it all, and it's going to have a huge impact next lesson, is that what is going on between the first situation inside of it and second situation inside of it, and between these two situations. Now, let me say it, and I'm going to write it down. For the result of two numbers that are dividing in division to be positive, both of them have to be positive. A has to be positive and b has to be positive. And b has to be positive. The second situation is when both of them are negative, the result is positive, which means a is negative and b has to be negative. And the relationship between these two situations is, well, either both of them are positive or both of them are negative. That's why between these two we have or. So now our task specifically. This is simpler task, and I told you this is the introduction to the things that we're going to learn next lesson. And that is, basically, we have first situation here, because 5 is a positive number, which means, well, 5 is greater than 0, it's positive, which means that the m plus 3 has to also be greater than 0. So in our case, m plus 3 has to be greater than 0. And basically what happened here, we lost the 5 in a way. Now I didn't multiply with m plus 3, and I'm going to talk about that also next lesson, why we cannot do it like that. And there are some issues if you want to try and do it. And we can now solve this till the end. So basically what happens here is that m is greater than minus 3. There we go, guys. So m is greater than minus 3. We can write it down in a set form using the number line. So -3, these are all numbers that are greater. So the interval that m is going to be part of is going to be m is element from -3 to plus infinity. Because we don't have inequality in all of this, -3 excluded. Thank you guys for watching this lesson. Hopefully you understood everything. I teased you a little bit with things that are coming after this. But basic thing about all of this is you should be able to solve all of this similar to how we solved equations themselves, linear specifically. See you guys next lesson, and